Everyone remembers Cinderella as the kind girl who endured everything in silence. A cruel stepmother, 2 jealous sisters, endless chores, ashes on the floor, and tears no one noticed. And then, one night, everything changed. A fairy godmother, a beautiful dress, a royal ball, and a glass slipper that turned a servant into a queen. It is a comforting story because it tells us something people want to believe. That kindness is always rewarded. That patience alone can change fate. But kingdoms do not work that way. Power rarely notices kindness, and history rarely crowns the gentle. So if Cinderella truly became queen, we must ask a different question. Was she really just kind? Or was she something else entirely? If you look closely at the old story, something begins to feel strange. Not magical. Strange. Because the version everyone remembers leaves out the most important detail. The ball was not simply a celebration. It was a selection. In many old kingdoms, royal balls were not just parties. They were political rituals. Moments when noble families presented their daughters to the court. Moments when alliances were quietly formed, behind music and dancing. And sometimes, moments when a future queen was chosen. Which means the prince was not simply looking for love. He was looking for someone who could stand beside the crown. Someone the court would accept. Someone who understood the rules of power. And that raises an uncomfortable question. How did a girl covered in ashes enter a room filled with nobility and leave as the most unforgettable woman in the kingdom? The story explains it with magic, a fairy godmother, a pumpkin carriage, a pair of glass slippers. But magic is the easiest explanation, and the least interesting one, because magic hides something much more dangerous. Preparation. A girl who survives in a cruel household learns things other people never notice. She learns when to speak, and more importantly, when to stay silent. Silence is not weakness. In royal courts, silence is observation, and observation is power. Cinderella spent years watching her stepmother control the house, with reputation and appearances, watching her sisters compete endlessly for attention. Most people believe she was invisible, but invisibility can be powerful, because people reveal their secrets around someone they believe does not matter. Think about the ball. Other women were trying to impress the prince. They wore expensive dresses. They spoke loudly. They tried to dominate every conversation. They wanted to be seen. But courts are not impressed by desperation. Courts admire something else. Control, mystery, distance. And that is exactly what Cinderella had learned. Years of silence had taught her something few nobles understand. Attention is not always taken. Sometimes, tension is created by absence. When Cinderella entered the ballroom, she did not behave like someone trying to win. She did not compete with the other women. She did not demand attention. She simply remained calm. Calm in a room filled with ambition. Calm in a room filled with noise. Calm in a room where everyone was trying too hard. And calmness has a strange effect on people. It creates gravity. Others begin to notice it, to move toward it, to wonder about it. The prince noticed, not because she was the loudest, but because she was the only one who did not need the room's approval. Then, something even stranger happened. Cinderella left. Not once, but twice. Both times. At midnight. Think about that. If she wanted the prince, why leave? Why disappear when she had already captured his attention? Because leaving creates something more powerful than presence. Curiosity, mystery, questions. And questions remain in the mind longer than answers. By the second night, the prince was no longer choosing among many women. He was searching for one. The one who left. The one he did not understand. The one who refused to stay. Then came the glass slipper. Glass is not practical. It is fragile, difficult to walk in, impossible to ignore. But glass has one important quality. It cannot be easily altered. It cannot be stretched. It cannot be hidden. It reveals exactly who fits, which makes the slipper something unusual. Not a romantic symbol. A test. A test that only one person in the kingdom could pass. And somehow, Cinderella lost it. Not both shoes, only one. Enough to create a kingdom-wide search. Enough to ensure every noble house would witness the moment. When the prince arrived at Cinderella's home, the sisters tried to force their feet into the slipper. They cut their heels. They forced their toes. They tried to change themselves to fit the symbol of power. But Cinderella did something different. She waited, quietly, until the moment became inevitable. History remembers Cinderella for her kindness, her patience, her gentle heart. But kingdoms are not built on kindness. They are built on strategy, patience, timing. The ability to remain calm while everyone else reveals their desperation. Cinderella never fought her sisters. She never confronted her stepmother. She never tried to escape her situation. She simply waited, and when the moment arrived, she stepped forward. The slipper fit. The prince had his answer. The court had its queen. Fairy tales simplify history. They turn ambition into kindness, strategy into magic, power into destiny. Because the truth is less comforting. Crowns rarely fall into innocent hands. They belong to those who understand the rules of the game. And Cinderella understood those rules better than anyone in the kingdom. Kindness was the story people preferred, but patience was the real reason she became queen.